Leave your comments on the Ask Reddit sub, and I'll read your answers on the next episode of LWIAR. What has simultaneously gotten worse and more expensive? Cable TV edit. Thank you for the gold, kind stranger. It'll help the sting of having to threaten to cancel service next month. Yup, I don't even F with cable anymore. Same at my mom's. IDK how she stands it. Feels like you're watching ads with a bit of TV shows in between. Same crap with the radio in the car. Jesus Christ. I've listened to the radio once in 2 years in my car. And that was for 10 minutes until I couldn't take it anymore. Radio has definitely gotten worse in that regard. When I was in college in Dallas, there was a sports station I listened to all the time. If I was in the car, I had it on. That was 5 years ago. Moved away after college and never got into the local stuff. When I went home for Christmas this past year, I was excited to listen to it again, and it was unbearable. Literally more advertisements than content. New homes. Cookie-cutter houses. Built with cheap contractors who cut corners left and right. Situated in neighborhoods with ever higher HOA fees. And the HOAs are getting more expensive too. Even my house that was built in the 70s has some crap quality. Not straight walls, electrical half-assed, etc. They're all made out of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same. I agree with this one. I thought buying a newly built home would be great. Turns out everything is cheap. Those nice-looking baseboards, particle board, cabinets, particle board, nice front door, it's plastic and warps when the temperature changes. Everything looks nice. But at the core it's all super cheap material that was installed as fast as possible by the cheapest bidder. Spot on. I work on the bunch of production homes and all these builders care about is putting up the most houses they can in a year. The quality isn't worth a damn, and seeing the way it's all built firsthand really opened my eyes. It's sad because nobody really knows what they're buying. You see the model home with all its different wall colors and expensive furniture and you don't notice how crap it all is until you actually live in it. Makes me think of the model home in Arrested Development where everything keeps breaking lol. My house was built in 1921. And, well, it's still here. Probably more than you can say for these new build houses when they reach 99 years. Survivorship bias. If a house built 100 years ago is still standing, it's going to be of decent quality because all the crappy ones have been torn down by now. I mean, in Europe it's more a house over 100 years old just managed to survive being bombed in WW2. Cable television. More commercials, channels upon channels of crap, ridiculous bill. I remember when you could watch a show on cable without any commercials. That was its big selling point. I remember when MTV was music and the History Channel didn't normalize conspiracy theories. Network decay is a scourge forced on consumers by sociopathic bean counters with no morals, ethics or integrity. Oh man, the Learning Channel was probably the furthest fall. 25 years ago, it was literally a channel for nerds. Like 30-minute programs of a professor explaining a math problem. Now, it's just white trash having conflicts because it's profitable. I call it the Jerry Springer model. That's why they rebranded as TLC. It was no longer a place for learning. It's weird. It used to be so educational. Then Discovery came along with more infotainment. And TLC was all, hold my beer. It sucks too. I really loved the channel as a kid. I geeked out on everything and the family always watched the operation together. Now I don't think I'd watch anything on it. But God help me, I can't explain why, but I freaking love the gold mining shows on Discovery. My university education. Specifically this year, they are raising tuition and fall semester has no in-person sessions. I don't envy college students during this crisis. I would be pissed, especially if I had a major dependent on university facilities, labs, etc. I honestly would highly consider a gap year, or two. College kids of Reddit. Are any schools offering a gap year as an option? Colleges don't offer gap years. You just don't register and then come back. You'll probably have to reapply. I can't imagine Hey wouldn't let you back in unless you were basically already failed out. The only other option is to take a leave of absence so they know you're coming back, but they usually are only for one semester. Photo booths. Oh, the old ones were so cool. 4 different real photos for $1. Now you pay $7 for 4 identical bad laser prints. There's a photo booth company here in the UK that's pretty cool. It's around £5 for 4 photos. It counts you down and you get 4 separate photos. So you can do 4 individual pictures. They're in black and white and look really nice. Afterwards it'll print the 4 images and at the bottom will be a link to an animated GIF of the set up for taking the image. So you see the few seconds before and after sort of thing. It's actually pretty fun. They're in lots of bars and clubs, so there's a lot of drunken photo booth pictures stashed in my house. Tears of joy *edit. The brand is Photomatic. Just dug a photo out of my box's smile. Just wait until you try to book one for a wedding. $1,500 for an iPad on a stick with a ring light and printer for 4 hours. This is why we bought all the supplies and just made one ourselves. Super easily. Literally bought a backdrop and frame. All the fancy lighting, props, tablet stand, color printer, and even the little clicker thing to press when to take the photo. All of that off of Amazon. For less than 1/3 the price we were quoted to rent one from the company. And now we have a photo booth, lol. We can be that cool couple that can bring all photo booth set up anytime we're invited to our friends' weddings, parties, events, etc. Do what they did and charge people to rent it. You can lowball all of the other companies and still make your money back your first renter. I remember the donuts at Dunkin' Donuts to be bigger and cheaper. There are more Krispy Kremes where I'm from. Totally lucky enough to have both. And there was a huge selection of flavors every day. When donuts were their main thing. Now, with all of the sandwiches, breakfast foods, shakes, smoothies, etc., donuts are an afterthought. And this is likely the reason they rebranded to just Dunkin'. Kinda. The rebrand to just Dunkin' was that they decided to go up against Starbucks in the specialty coffee beverages space. They can offer the same basic array of specialty drinks at a lower price point and back it up with a better menu of food and baked goods. Health insurance. Goddamn. Last year we ran out of money in our HSA in July. We were paying for everything out of pocket after that and praying for no major medical expenses. And we have Blue Cross Blue Shield. And it ain't cheap. What the hell are we paying for? This year has been a bit better. Ironically, because of Corona we haven't gone anywhere or done anything. So we actually have money in the HSA. Now we're like, what do we do with this money if we still have it in December? New glasses for everybody. Quote. I know this one. If you truly have an HSA, not the flexible spending account one, you can roll that money over every year. The fun part is that you can also invest that money. I have to have $2,500 or so in my HSA before I can invest any of it. The only trick to HSAs is that the money you take out has to be spent on the various qualified medical expenses. So if you don't need new glasses, you can save that money, invest it, and let it compound. Then you can pull out the money years down the line, say, for skilled nursing when you get to that point, or for another year of unexpected medical expenses. All hail the HSA, or affordable healthcare, but I guess we can't have that. Blue Cross Blue Shield has become such trash. It is so expensive and they don't even cover very much. $450 copay for visits and I had to pay for my root canals out of pocket. $1,200 each. I would have just gotten my teeth pulled but they were both in the front. Blue Cross Blue Shield of MN is essentially a last resort. They got in trouble with the state for creating a shell company to be non-profit and sell overpriced HMO HSA plans, without the main company's business sector and the interstate Blue Access and Blue Card plans. They probably wouldn't exist smaller, but better. HMO insurers have been slowly siphoning their business customers. There used to be this burger joint called Joe's Cable Car near me. Great place. I miss it so much. A few months before it closed down, I was there and the owner, Joe, was having a heated conversation with one of his suppliers on the phone. After he hung up, he looked over at me and just said, "Price goes up, quality goes down." It took me a while to realize that that wasn't an butthole supplier he was dealing with, just a fact of life. People like Joe can't tolerate that. That's why the truly great things never last, only the mediocre things are able to endure long enough to degrade into the universally hated embodiment of entropy that the physical world allows for. It's the commodification of things. They lose their quality and uniqueness and become something to be pumped out at high volume and, generally with reduced quality as prices slowly go up over time. I think too, a lot in the world has changed. Let's say you own a burger joint. You make 10% profit year over year. Then you have investors come in. Investors want to see 10% this year, 11% next year, 12% next year, and on and on. They want the profit to go higher and higher and don't care about your future once they sell out. That's why restaurants start out great, and then get shittier over the years. Because investors leech them for what they can, leave them for dead, and move on. If a single guy owned one store, he could live on the 10% profit. But if he gets married, has kids, now he has to support a wife and kid, or 4 mouths instead of 1. So he too needs to change his business model. In addition to being damaging to the business, this attitude is what drives more financial fraud than anything else in public companies. Show an order to a fast-growing, high-margin company that started to hit its upper limit of growth. That's a company that auditors will be watching very carefully for fraud signs. Because when the growth slows is when shareholders lose money and thus management gets into trouble. Everything Nestlé takes over. WATERISNOTAHUMANRIGHT Nestlé. I think it is a human right according to the UN. It is for children at least. I don't know what Nestlé have been smoking. Thank goodness us adults can live without it. All Cadbury's products. The Cadbury egg is honestly the most disappointing to me, because nearly every one of the food products mentioned has plenty of viable alternatives that haven't been ruined. You can find 1,000 high-quality chocolate bars or ice creams or whatever. But the Cadbury egg is a singularly unique product. There's nothing else like it on Earth. So once Cadbury ruined the recipe, it was a treat lost forever. As Kraft does. In particular Cadbury's cream egg. Cadbury sugary sand-filled egg. I know it was kind of a love it or hate thing before, but it is complete garbage now. I would gladly pay double or more to have it back the old way. There are a few select stores that sell the version imported from Europe, which still uses the original Cadbury recipe, instead of the bastardized recipe that Hershey uses. They're just much more expensive, something like 5 by minus 10x more. College education in the US. Honestly, this is a great point and needs more upvotes. My dad paid off his school year with a summer job. I pay off 1 year with approximately 5 years of work and gradual repayment with interest. There's the perspective that online learning is just as good, which can be a fair point to make sometimes, but with the price of education staying the same even for these online courses, a comparison is to be made. Will the teachers be as integrated with their students? What of an intimate classroom setting where you get to view the reactions of your peers and have a fluid conversation? I think it will depend on the class whether it can be done effectively. But I don't think it's worth $50,000 per year. Access to the same facilities, resources, etc., is definitely lacking with online learning. Education has also predominantly become a business. And for many institutions this way of business has degraded at the quality of education as dollars are stowed to pay the higher-ranked staff. I can't say more money isn't better, but there are diminishing returns. As an observer, the next couple decades are going to be pretty fascinating for higher ed. There's no traditional bubble to be burst, a la housing, because it's much harder to wipe out student loans. It's going to be interesting to see whether traditional college becomes too expensive except for the elite, or people are going to continue to take on more and more loans. I think it's likely we'll see a much higher instance of people doing 2 years at a community college and transferring those credits to complete a degree at a name-brand school, and increasingly stronger pushes to reduce tuition at those name-brand schools. Privacy and anonymity. Size of bags of chips. I mean, the bags have gotten bigger, but suddenly they need to sell you more air as well. It's for padding, right? And nitrogen, or whatever is in it, can't fully remember, helping it stay fresh. Thanks for watching LWIAR, the best of recent r/AskReddit submissions and comments. If you like this video, check out LWIAR too, and don't forget to like and subscribe.